All right, hello everyone, and welcome back to the Beauty in the Network podcast. And if you are looking at our podcast over on YouTube, then you see that I have a guest here. We have Megan, and Megan is someone that I have followed on Instagram for a while. I don't really know how long, but I know what attracted me to her was her tutorials. If you are someone who is looking to perfect your craft, you're probably following some amazing educators, and that is how I found Megan's account. And I just recently slid into her DMs and I basically asked her if she would be interested in sharing some of the knowledge, not just about tutorials, but how to really help grow your bridal beauty business. She has some amazing digital products that we'll talk a little bit about. And she has a hybrid business model. This is my own definition, but she sells in person hair and makeup services as well as digital products. And we will get all into the fun. So, Megan, I'm going to stop rambling and I'm going to let you go ahead and introduce yourself, let everyone know all about you and where they can find you online.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Jasmine, for having me. I'm so excited
Of
about our
course.
podcast session today. My name is Megan Lorson, and I am a full-time bridal hairstylist and makeup artist. I just went full-time about a year and a half ago. I've been in the industry for 10 years doing wedding hair, wedding makeup, but went full-time about a year and a half ago. I'm on Instagram at megan.lorson. I post tons and tons of educational content showing lots of bridal hair and makeup tips and tricks, updo tutorials. I also have a YouTube channel. It's just Megan Lorson, and I post lots of bridal business education over there as well. Full tutorials, you name it, it's all on there. Two things I love most is the bridal business, but also social media and education.
Yeah.
And I feel like I found an industry and an avenue that I love that makes me good money. And so I want to share all the knowledge I can with other people to help them be successful and grow their income and their skill set as well.
Absolutely. I love that so much. So you mentioned that you just went full time, you said a year ago, a year and a half ago?
A year and a half ago, yeah.
Okay, I would love to just kind of hang out there. So for you, did you know prior to going full time in your business that that was the direction, or did it just kind of pop up? And if it did, how did you actually plan towards that goal? Because I know that that is a huge goal for a lot of people. And I know that my audience loves when they get to hear other people's stories and how they went through it. So I would love if you can share any insight on that.
Yeah. So I didn't really know that I was ever going to be full-time bridal. It's how I got my start in the industry. I always loved styling my hair, doing updos. I always loved doing updos in my friends' hair, my family's hair, before I even went to cosmetology school. So it's kind of how I got my start. I just love styling hair. But then I graduated cosmetology school and I fell in love with doing color. And so I later on specialized in doing mostly like balayage and blonding, as well as hand tied extensions. And I actually owned a salon. My mom and I opened a salon together like 7 years ago, 7 years ago now, and did that. And so about a year and a half ago, I had a little girl, and that changes everything. So my original plan was to take 2 months off and go right back to the salon and keep doing what I was doing. At the time, I was educating for Paul Mitchell and I was teaching classes on coloring hair. So, like, my whole entire career was based on salon and color, and I was really becoming known for that. And I just really felt like 3 months before I had my little girl, that's literally when I decided. I was like, reality was really setting in and it was starting to feel more real. And I was like, I really
Mhm.
want to be with her. I want to raise her and be with her as much as I can, at least the first couple of years, if I can make that happen. So, about 3 months before having her, I hit it hard and started marketing hardcore bridal hair and makeup. And I'm like, if that's what I'm going to do, then I got to market to make it work. And so that's what I did. And I took about 3 months off and then just slowly started getting back into weddings. And I absolutely love it. I work on my business during the week. Here and there, I have my days scheduled out. And then I get to spend a lot of time with my little girl. So I think that's the thing I love the most about the bridal industry is
Mhm.
how much time freedom I have. So
Yeah.
that's a little bit about my story. It was not planned, but
I love that.
I'm obsessed with the whole bridal industry.
Yes, yes, I love that. And one thing that I did not know, so I went to a commercial school, like back in 2012, but I love how you said you were mostly focusing on like salon life at that time, like cuts, colors, balayage. And it's so funny because when I was in cosmetology school, I had a full clientele of like all over foils, cuts, colors, highlights, and I wanted nothing to do with bridal. And like the bridal world just kind of found me when I did fashion week one time as an assistant, and I was like, this is kind of crazy, but I love it. And you mentioned, 3 months before you had your little girl, how, probably just thinking about like, what is life going to look like for me, if I keep on this path? Like, am I going to be able to do the things that, you want to do, especially when you're starting a family? And I really want to ask you, did you have a challenging time trying to find the balance between showing up in home, being a mom, and growing a new business that you were now going to pursue? I love to nerd out about time management and organization and creating a calendar that really allows you to have the lifestyle that you want and not necessarily let your bridal beauty business take over all of your Fridays or all of your Saturdays, and then your family kind of gets the back burner. Do you have any tips for how you transition? If the transition was easy for you when it came to finding the balance, I would love to know all of the details.
So first of all, I just want to say it was super scary transitioning from being in a salon, and my mom completely took over the salon after I had my little girl. So that was scary to let go, control, and let go of that and let go of who I was or who, I was kind of known for before that. Um, but when you're so scared of something and you want to make the switch, you just make it happen. You just do all the things to make it happen. So um I just started marketing hardcore before I even had my little girl to start getting things going so that when I had her, I could spend those first few months kind of more in with her. But at the same time, they sleep so much when they're so little. So while she was sleeping, I was working on my business, growing my business and marketing. And I was just pulling out all of the weddings that I had done from the past years. Cause for 2 years also, right before having my daughter, there was no wedding. So I didn't have any really current weddings because there wasn't any happening. So I was pulling all the tricks out of my my hat from like weddings I had done years and years ago, and I was just
Mhm.
recirculating them and posting them out to get the business. Now though, back to like managing my time, it's been. I'm going to be honest, it's been so hard. It's been so hard because you're adjusting to being and becoming a first time mom, and also you're in the start of growing a brand new business, so to speak. I've been in the hair industry, but your focus is shifting.
Mhm.
So it's honestly taking me like a whole year, and still don't feel like I have the time management down perfect. But I do have a better system now. I try to dedicate at least like 3 days a week to business, admin, social media work. Um, and then I have a nanny that helps watch my little girl during that time. And then the other 2 or so days I try to spend with her and we do some fun things together. And then of course weekends right now are pretty busy with weddings. So usually Friday, Saturday, Sundays are for weddings. I try not to do any weddings on Sunday at all. I do have
Mhm.
a handful of them. I'll take them every now and then. But I do try to keep Sundays for family. So that's kind of how I do it right now. And eventually I'm getting more and more into education. So eventually I'll step back a little bit more from the weekends and have that. But I do have a good handful of weekends off. I try to plan that out at the beginning of the year. That way I have some weekends off.
Yes.
So
Yes.
that is how I
Yeah.
do all of that right now.
That's awesome. And I love to just ask people like, how does that look for you? Like, how does that transition feel? How does it look? Because I feel like sometimes I am not a mama yet, but I'm getting married next month, and starting a family is something that we definitely want to do. And I already know how I operate without a child, so
Yeah.
I know whenever I do have a child, like, okay, this is what the realistic expectations would look like. This is how that transition would feel. And I love how you said, you dedicate at least like 3 days a week for, the core tasks of your business, marketing, admin, and, just kind of like any kind of management that requires your business to run successfully and for your clients to feel taken care of. And I feel like sometimes we get so hard on ourselves because we just want things to be perfect the first time. And if it doesn't work out the first time, we're like, well, what's wrong with me? Everybody else on social media is getting it right. And you don't really know what's going on behind the scenes. So I love that you shared like the true, honest transition of what that looks like for you. And that kind of goes into my next question for you. So you are talking about you really want to focus more on the education side of your business. So I like in the beginning, I basically said that you have like a hybrid business model, or some people would say like a blended business model. I feel like it is definitely more popular, but it's not new. Other people like Vanessa Myricks, more of like the well-known like Sam Fine, so many people who have basically laid the groundwork for, makeup or hairstyling. Those older celebrity artists, they have a hybrid or a blended business model. They just don't go out and promote their hair and makeup services. They have other avenues. So for you, how did you find like your zone of genius? Like I always see your tutorials. I was in my stories today saying like I would never give my audience a tutorial because I know that there's somebody who is going to kill it, way more than I could, but I will run my mouth on like the business strategy organization because I know that's my lane. So how did you find like your lane, and how did you start to venture into the online space with your brand?
Um, if I'm being honest, you think about it and you're like, I don't know. It just happens, but
Hmm.
I love social media. I've been such a fan of social media from day one, like way back before we opened our salon. I just was always fascinated by it. And then I think when you see it working for you, you become more obsessed with it. Um,
Absolutely.
but I just love doing fun tutorials. I love everything beauty, fashion. But I love educating people. So I'm always thinking of how can I throw a little tip or like a trick and show someone how to do a technique with hair and to do it in a short form video. Um, so yeah, I don't know. As long as I can remember, I've just always loved video and tutorials. And I guess like when I was younger, I was always watching other people do it on like YouTube. I've always loved watching YouTube makeup tutorials. It's
Hmm.
always been interesting. I don't know, slowly I just started getting into it myself and just I love it. So yeah, it's just fun.
Yeah, I love that. And it's like 9 times out of 10, if it's something that you truly enjoy, like it finds you. Like for me, I never really sought out and said, I want to be an online educator for bridal hair and makeup artists. It just kind of happened that way. People were just reaching out, like, hey, you were talking about, Honeybook, can you do X, Y, Z? Can you talk a little bit more about that? And when I realized that people were interested in it, like it made me even more excited about it to talk about it and to share about it because I know how much challenges I had when I was going through that learning process. So any way that I can show up and just like you said, give them a tip, give them a different perspective of how they can approach their business, then that's when I just get all of the enjoyment out of it. But it's funny because sometimes like it just finds you.
I can say that I guess what keeps me going is just constantly I'll get questions from people. about a certain technique or how do you do this, how do you do that. And I just make like a mental note of it. Or like sometimes I'll have like an ongoing list in my phone of like, okay, do this tutorial next. Because sometimes I get so caught up in the fact of like, oh, everybody knows how to do this, or this is easy for me, so it's easy for everyone else. And I've had to learn like, not everybody knows how to do this. Just because it comes easy to me in this particular, it doesn't mean. So I've had to like really get specific and break down things, which just gives me more ideas for content. But I definitely would say like other people have like influenced a lot of videos that I put out, or just keep me going and keep me excited about it, because I'm like, oh, okay, like somebody wants to see this or learn that, or like, oh, I guess everybody doesn't know that, so let me do think about that. So it just kind of helps feed your inspiration when people are constantly like, asking questions, or you realize that people just don't know, all the things
Yeah.
you know.
Absolutely. And it's like, what comes like natural to us, just like you said, like you're like, oh, I thought everybody knew this, right?
Yeah.
So the same, like I would see comments or people would send me a message after looking at, an Instagram story, like, oh my gosh, like what is that? Can you talk a little bit more about that? And I'm like, what do you mean? Like I thought everybody knew this. So that's so funny. And that's a great way to kind of utilize market research as well to really help you figure out as a stylist, like, hey, what are some things that I can create that my audience would love? What are some things that I can create that they're already interested in? And that kind of goes into my last question. So you were talking a little bit about like your obsession with social media and all of the things. So if you could give maybe like one piece of advice or two pieces of advice for someone who is, maybe they are already, having steady clients in their business right now, but they really want to step into taking their education side a little bit more seriously, maybe showing more tutorials, right? What is a piece of advice that you can give for gaining consistency, as well as having people see you in a way that is, one, authentic to yourself and genuine to who you are, but really showcase like your own personal style and your own artistry and things like that? What would those two pieces of advice be?
Okay. That's a loaded question. So, let's see. Okay. So the number one thing is just being consistent. And I find that one of the biggest things, or the reasons why people don't post at all, is because they don't think their work is good enough, or they just get like, what picture they're scrolling on, what picture should I post? It doesn't matter, just post. Click, just if you have to close your eyes and scroll and just say whichever one I land on, do it. Like, just post. That's what I tell people, just post. And it might not be the most perfect picture, but when you take action, action brings results. And from taking action, you learn so much. And that's how you improve, is by taking action. And I think people are so concerned with what other people are going to think of seeing their posts, but who cares? Who cares? I think like everyone needs to get over like feeling like, oh my gosh, my work isn't good enough, or like, what is so and so going to. To be honest, nobody is really looking at your particular work saying like, oh, she should. People are so busy with their own things, like just post. But I always say be consistent with what's in your background. So like consistent colors. If you like white, stick with white. Just be mindful of what's in the background. And as long as it's good lighting, it really doesn't matter where the picture is taken out nowadays. Everything is more organic. Just good lighting is the biggest thing. But again, with developing your brand and your look or your style, it really just comes with time and taking action by posting. You just figure it out as you go, and the more you do it, the quicker you figure it out. I was actually listening to a podcast the other day, and I forget who said it, but it was something like, he said, the more times you fail, the more successful you'll be, because there's so many things that don't work And the quicker you can fail at things, the quicker you'll learn and the quicker you'll succeed. So that's kind of how I look at growing your brand, finding your brand. You just have to take action and it'll come. And if
Absolutely.
I highly recommend, like, if social media is your weakness, invest in classes. Um, Everything I've learned today with social media, hairstyling, hair color, I've learned it by educating myself. I like highly believe in investing in education because I know personally that it's the quickest, fastest way to get me from here to here. And so for me, I want to do things the quickest and fastest way. So yeah, highly recommend education.
Absolutely. I love those tips. And like just a few things that you said that I just want to like make sure that you like write this down if you're taking notes. If you're driving, just re-listen to this part. But you were saying the podcast that you were listening to, like the more times that you fail, the like you will succeed.
Mhm.
And one thing that I want to put on that is make sure that you are paying attention to the actual actions that you are taking, the types of posts that you're putting out, the types of reels that you're putting out, the backgrounds that Megan was talking about, right? Because if we are just doing a whole bunch of things, we won't even know what was that one thing that actually propelled us, right? So definitely the more that you fail, the quicker that you would get closer to actually succeeding. And then the last part that you were saying is investing in yourself. Investing in yourself and implementation
Yeah.
is the key. Don't forget the implementation part.
Yeah.
Because even me, I remember like I got such like a buzz off of investing in myself because I remember like the first couple years when I invested in myself, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is actually working. My business is growing, my income is growing. And I just found myself, oh, that's a class. Okay, I'm gonna buy it. But then I wouldn't even like open up the course or read the material. And I'm like, oh, okay, maybe I should go actually implement what is being taught. And for those of you who feel like you struggle with perfectionism, just like she said, you know, just
Mhm.
if you have to close your eyes and pick a photo, that's what you're posting today. We get so in our head of, I have to wait till it's perfect. I have to wait until the moment is right. There will never be a perfect moment. There will never be a perfect time or anything. You have to create it with your own momentum. So verse like I would say stop trying to wait to have that moment show up and create that moment yourself.
Yes.
So I love all of the tips that you shared. And before you go, of course, we're going to have all of Megan's details in the show notes so that you can connect with her on the social media platforms that she is on. But Megan, I would love for you to just let us know if you have anything that you would like to talk about, any of the amazing products that you were mentioning before. How can we find those products? What are they all about and what can we expect? And of course, where can we find you on social media?
Okay, so I do have a couple of digital products that I sell right now for bridal hair and makeup artists. These are all things that I personally use in my business and has helped my bridal business grow and honestly just helped me to save time in my business. So I have a bridal booking guide. That's probably one of my most popular one. And my bridal booking guide is something I designed. It's like a 12-page template I designed on Canva. And so anytime a bride inquires about booking their wedding with me, I send them over my automated message on Honeybook and they get a link to my bridal booking guide. And it basically has a picture of me, what it's like to work with me on the day of the wedding. So they can kind of get a feel of what it's going to be like, who I am, my personality. But it also has all the information that they need to know in this bridal booking guide as far as their trial appointment. It has my pricing in there, and then it has all my social media handles, and it lets them know how the booking process goes. So instead of me typing out an email every single time on all the information, my pricing, it's just in this beautiful looking bridal booking guide. So I recreated that so it's 100% customizable for whoever purchases it. You add your own pictures, your own wording, your own pricing in there. So I have that. And then I do have like a bridal hair and makeup starter kit guide for anyone who is newer into the industry, wanting to get into the bridal industry. I have full kit recommendations. You can build a whole entire bridal hair kit, whole entire bridal makeup kit. And I do have a couple other things, and you can find it all on Instagram by clicking the link in my bio. They're all listed right in there. And my Instagram is megan.lorson. And again, I am on YouTube at Megan Lorson. You can find me there. The link is also in my Instagram. Everything is just linked in my Instagram bio. So you can find all the things there.
Okay, perfect, perfect. And guys, I will have all of her details in the show notes. And if you're over here looking at us on YouTube, of course, you can go ahead and click the description so that you can follow Megan over on social media. But other than that, guys, that is a wrap for today's episode. Thank you so much for tuning in today. And don't forget, if you enjoyed any of the tips that I gave or that Megan gave today, make sure that you screenshot the episode and tag us over on social media so that we can shout you out for hanging out with us. So I will let you go ahead and enjoy the rest of your day, friends. And thank you for tuning into today's episode. Bye.